Okay, we are live from Sydney, Australia, and I'm joined today with by my friend Nilesh.
Makwana.
I knew that. It's just testing you. Just testing you. You are the opening keynote for this circuit that you and I are on right now, called the YOW Conference here in Australia. It's a Brisbane, Melbourne, Sydney show. I guess it's Melbourne, Brisbane, and then Sydney. And you are CEO of Illuminate Solutions, an organization who's headquartered in Perth, right, with offices all over the place, that caters by and large to the sort of Microsoft universe, and has won numerous, as far as I could tell when I looked at all those trophies and all that, numerous Microsoft certifications and awards and honors and all that stuff from different industry groups, including Microsoft itself. Is that?
Yeah.
Did I miss? I missed a lot, right?
True, yeah.
I was lucky. I was in Perth before this little circuit started up, and our mutual facilitator was nice enough to put in contact with you, and we got to sit down and have just an amazing dinner. That was my, it's very sad that I had to start my week, my journey here in that week, 2 weeks, my 2 weeks journey in Australia with you, because now it's all just been downhill. I peaked before I even got started, right? But I really appreciated that you took that. It's just a random stranger. You just took the time to make me feel very welcome, and it turns out it feels like that's a part of your soul, because it's one thing to do it for one evening, but then when I found out the topic on which you're going to speak at this conference, I was like, oh, okay, this is a person I want to have more conversations with, and that is the goal today. So, first of all, you want to introduce yourself? So, fill any gaps I've missed.
Yeah, sure. I'm here at Sydney for YOW Conference, as you mentioned, opening speaker. Keynote.
Amazing
keynote opening speaker. I'm Australian Indian. Came to Australia 2012 from UK as an international student, and I started
Okay, we're live again. So yeah, so you were saying you've started Illuminate Solutions. It's been a tech company that has focused on doing good with technology, and it's been very well recognized because of the work it's done to help marginalized communities, right?
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry. Carry on. We had a bit of a hiccup there in the stream there.
That's all right.
Imagine technology not working perfectly. We don't know anything about that.
Yeah. So and along the journey, we ended up being the most diverse team in Australia for hiring people from all walks of life.
I've seen your office. I've seen a lot of the people. I mean, it is really nice to see that many different stripes of people, there. By the way, how many people are we talking about in your organization? It's very big.
No, it's not very big. It's small compared to many large corporations. But as they say, the big doesn't mean great, and great doesn't mean big. So we are a small team, but we have a great social impact. And
it felt like, I don't know, 50, 100 people.
No, 47 in Perth office, plus 7 in the Adelaide office, and we got
awesome. It's awesome.
We got some good contractors out there. And it's 26 different nationalities, people with disabilities, indigenous background. We have seniors, we have younger people, we got refugee, we got moms, we got ex-prisoners, you name it. It's a fruit ball, we got everybody there.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah. It's a very diverse team, and that brings a lot of great ideas. Everybody contributes positively to advance company's mission to use tech for good. So it's been doing really good in terms of creating some innovative solutions, which helps the sector out there.
Yeah, and I want to talk about. Can I tell you about what hooked me when you first explained this to me? Can I tell you about a story that I briefly hovered around but was not involved in it in any way, but I just was really pleased to see this, and it made me think about this stuff. And then to see you talk about that same thing, because you just mentioned the ex-prisoner. Can I briefly tell you a little story here? This is why I'm so interested in what you're talking about, is because of this other experience that I'd had. And this was a fleeting, on the fringe, sort of out, I was an observer and not a participant, obviously, in this wonderful story, but it did my heart good. And then to see somebody who's done, this is just one incident, and then to see somebody like you doing this full time is just, it's a game changer. So what I was lucky enough to speak at this conference called Friends of O'Reilly. O'Reilly, of course, is the book publisher. It's an unconference, and this is back when O'Reilly, the book publisher, held conferences. Unfortunately, they've exited that business, but they had OzCon and many other big shows like that. This was held in Sonoma, in California, wine country, right in California, and it's pretty. I don't know. You get, like, we had the Estonian president was there holding unconference sessions, and we had then California Governor Jerry Brown. Now, Jerry Brown was a very liberal governor in the state of California in the 70s. He was given the nickname, sometimes condescending, sometimes affectionate, Governor Moonbeam. And he was famous because he did things like refusing to take access to the governor's mansion in California. He said, the taxpayers shouldn't have to foot the bill. It's just a job. I'll commute myself, And he already had a home, so he'll just live there. So he seems like an okay guy. But as part of politics in the States are, as they are in most places, kind of dirty. As part of that, he took a tough on crime stance, which disproportionately affects minority populations, because as you know, it doesn't matter what the law is, it's never universally and fairly applied across the board, right? So it disproportionately affected minorities, and it had the effect of sending a lot of people to prison, especially those with darker skin in California, right? So he felt bad about that. In the 2010s, he returned to governorship, this time a much older, much wiser man, and at this point he couldn't run again. He had nothing to lose, and he's old, and so he wasn't planning on running again anyway, right? So this time he wanted to right the wrongs that he had done. And so he went on a campaign to sort of retroactively pardon a lot of people in California, especially since by that point, California had already legalized the use of marijuana, and a lot of people were in there for marijuana crimes. But of course, again, studies have shown it's universal that people smoke marijuana. It's just that they put the dark-skinned ones in prison in California a lot of times, and it's unfair. At least that's the way Governor Jerry Brown sort of explained it, and that makes sense, So he pardoned these people, and he commuted a lot of sentences, and he looked to find people that had served enough time, or they had perhaps a harsher sentence than perhaps required. And he found one young man who, at the time of his incarceration, was 18. His life had just started, right? And he wasn't incarcerated. He wasn't in prison for drugs. He was incarcerated because he shot somebody, which is definitely bad, right? You're not supposed to do that. But he had spent decades of his life already in prison. He was already, and it was I don't know what became of the person, if that person lived or not. But either way, lots of people have gotten out of prison much sooner than that. So he commuted this guy's sentence. Now, why do I mention this? Because that guy was at the conference, okay? And it was a cool story. And the reason why it was a cool story was because during his time in incarceration, he also studied computer science. And the way he did that was O'Reilly, the book publisher, donated to the state, these prisons, offline access to their book catalog, right? To their learning platforms. And remember, in the prisons, you don't have internet, right?
Yeah.
So they donated offline versions of this that you could run on-prem. And in that time, this young man, who is now, older man now, he learned software. He learned how to write code. He's actually got skills, and he was obviously repentant, and he was ready to try and be reintegrated back into society. Before he even got out, he was ready, And so then they invited Governor Jerry Brown, and they invited this young man who was now, capable of working in engineering, and he was out there trying to help. He had a job. He was working, but it took somebody to look past his obvious mistakes, the folly of youth, and give him a shot, and that was just one instance, and it stuck with me for years. That was 2018 or 19. I learned about this. Then I meet somebody like you who's trying to make this a real thing across the board. Really, it makes my heart like, people like that deserve a second chance. And of course, you mentioned all these other groups.
No, I guess the customer doesn't care if you are diverse or disabled or ex-prisoner refugee. They want you to solve the problem.
Sure.
So if you can do the job, if you can perform, you have a job, right?
Yeah.
And then customer is willing to pay for it. So I didn't hire because they were ex-prisoner, or I didn't hire because they were, diverse background or anything. I hired because they could actually do the job and they have the skills and they can perform. Now also I fired people who couldn't do it, and we support them. We give them training and mentorships and everything. But at the end of the day, they have to do the job.
It's not just hiring the people or not hiring the people. It's not. I don't think you hired them because of their check boxes. You hired them because they're good. But the point is, you were willing to look at their resume to ascertain that in the first place, right?
Yeah. And just look at the skills they have and the roles requirement, and if they match the skills and roles requirement, bingo, we have a good people who can perform. And everybody's looking for a second chance or a first chance, entry chance, just to get started in life. And there are people who are above the age of 60 and 65 and they are struggling. Age discrimination is huge as well, and we are an aging nation in Australia here. So there are a lot of people who are older who have amazing skills and knowledge to share, but they struggle to get into the tech sector.
That's a shame,
or small
too.
business. So I do have quite a few gray hairs with me too.
Yeah, some of the best engineers I know are gray hairs. The other thing you mentioned, like that interview, that the willingness to like talk to these people in the first place. In the States, I'm not sure if you have that here. There are several different services you can use that will wash resumes, to make them blind resumes, basically. So that you don't know who they are, don't know their age, don't know their gender. Don't
de-identify information.
So you just have their history, work history, and the work they did, nothing else, right? And they've shown that even people who are sort of not intentionally, like I don't imagine most people are. I don't imagine most people wake up every day and say, I'm going to stop some minorities from working. That's not, but they're just unintentionally biased, right? And so even the people that are well-intentioned actually end up hiring more fairly when they go through this process, when they wash the resumes of any identifying information, right?
That's true.
And it's just an amazing result,
Yeah, UK government has implemented a same platform where
a government, it's a government mandate?
Cool. So in UK, it's if you apply online, any jobs, you don't have to put your personal information, your gender, your which university you went to, the name of the company. You just focus on what course you did, what skills you have, what duties you performed, talk about the accomplishment you might have, but not necessarily anything which can identify you that you are an alumni from here. You worked with this company before.
That's interesting. Even the university, you get rid of the name of the university, because even that's right. Especially in the UK, you've got Oxford and all these very highbrow universities. That implies a certain, unless you're like one of the exceptional few that got a scholarship, that implies a class. Right. That implies a wealth.
That's right.
Wow, that's true in the States, especially too. We have Yale and Harvard versus like your city school. There's no correlation between better graduates from these places, or at least not.
Indeed.
I don't know, but it's not fair to assume.
But I don't need that technology. I can just look at the person and talk to them. And you can write anything you like on resume, but then when it comes to doing actual job, you know within a few weeks whether person can perform or not perform.
I would hope so.
Yeah. So it's getting started and giving a chance, and people learn and improve, and they can adapt, learn new skills, and the environment makes a difference. And if you are amongst the bright people, then they catch up very quickly as well. So you have to give people a benefit of doubt and chance, and then some people do miracles,
And some people that would seem, you look at the resumes and they have all the right qualifications and it looks like everything's in order. Sometimes those are the most disappointing ones, you know.
So this Dylan boy, I met him in Banksia Hill prison, which is sort of like a prison for kids, a detention center in Western Australia. And we went in there to do digital literacy training to help kids learn technology. And to my surprise, they all knew 3D printing, AI, VR, blockchain, all the advanced technology, and they knew what are the new features coming up in Apple app, which I didn't know. The new watch is coming up, and what gestures they'll have, I didn't know anything about it. So I felt like I'm, a bit old school compared to them. And these kids are mischievous, they're amazing, they're clever, but they know what's going on out there. But there is no sort of school system proper inside to learn anything about it. But they've been self-learning quite a lot of stuff, right? So when we went in there to teach them basics, but then we realized overnight that we can't actually talk basics with them. We had to change all the curriculum and come up with the new amazing stuff next day. So this Dylan boy, he wanted to learn Python.
So what's his name? His last name is
Dylan.
Boyd?
Yeah, I think so.
What's his? You're saying he's a boy, or are you saying his last name is Boyd?
He's a boy, yeah.
Okay, this boy named Dylan. Okay.
Yeah, not Boyd, but boy. Male, yeah.
Okay, I'm trying to figure out what.
Yeah, so Dylan wanted to learn Python programming language. We installed few offline tutorials for him and everything. He kept my business card for 3 months in the prison there, and he was hiding it under his shoes. And when he came out, his mother came to pick me up, and he was on parole for next 6 months or so. So he told his mom that I've been holding this card in my shoes, hiding it. And I'm going to give this man a call, and I'm going to work in tech. And he did next day. He says, I'm willing to do whatever, internships or work experience or volunteering. And he is not even a high school pass. I said, sure, come up and let's see what you can learn, and we'll give you a desk. And the only thing I ask you, turn up every day. You have to be consistent. You have to persistent and just have to turn up. That's it. Nothing else I ask. And he did that for 3 months. And along that journey, he was just exploring a bit of a Microsoft Power Platform apps and a bit of UI design and, learning some certification courses and everything, and learning from other programmers to do a little bit of work here and there. But after 3 months, what we discovered that he's actually keen on continuing this. So I said, okay, let's wait for another 3 months. When your probation passes, then we'll see what we can do with you. And by then he certified himself, and he continued coming for 6 months. And then we put him onto payroll and full-time, and also enroll him into a TAFE course, which is like a college to do certification. And you can do that without high school if you have some work experience or something. So now he's getting his education done at the same time while working full-time, and turning up still and changing his life around. And now he wears the uniform with the company logo very proudly. And we made him a public speaker. So we put him forward to some conferences and events where he can go out and advocate on behalf of the other ex-kids prisoner who can learn and make a life better out there. Don't have to go into constructions and odd jobs which they may not like to do. Like you and I, they may have inspiration to work in tech sector as well. And they don't have internet connections in the prison. So now they're looking for, he's advocating to get the internet back into the prison system. And,
or at least some sort of, I would even say you have to have some. Maybe it's not like full access to everything, but certainly some well-curated access, you got to. It's because in some countries it's a human right. And
all you have to do is just remove the escape button from the keyboard. They want to escape if you give them a wide internet, library internet, just to have basic information.
My partner. Well, there's two things I want to talk to you about. First of all, Freakonomics, and then my partner. She works as the assistant manager at a dog cleaning, grooming company, right? The owner of that company is this wonderful, wonderful woman named Bernie. Bernie is she's a very, very tough cookie. She's had this business for decades. She's gainfully employed a lot of people. She's put money and time into mentoring people that work with her, but she's also part of the city she's worked with the city as a person that can help people on these so-called diversion programs. So there are young people that do some crimes or whatever, and the city says, look, you've got two paths ahead of you. You can go to prison, or you can work with Bernie, right? And or other people like Bernie, other proprietors who are willing to give these young people a chance to learn a skill, reform themselves, work hard, and feel part of a team, because that actually that helps people, in the same way that it sounds like Dylan felt solidarity with you and your team, and sort of, you've seen that show, the Dog Whisperer, right? You're part of a pack, right? Like, dogs do what other dogs do, and if you've got a poorly behaving dog, just put it in a pack full of other good dogs, and that dog will very quickly sort of straighten themselves out. Same thing for humans, right? We are monkey see, monkey do, right? We do, as long as we kind of have good influences, we do the right thing. And being part of a good, generous, kind, and giving team like yours is gonna only have good effects, And so my partner's boss, Bernie, she helps mentor these people. She helps give them, and the same thing. She says, don't lie to me and don't be late, right? You are going to be here from these hours, and everything else we can work on. If you're sick, of course, call in and we'll make it work. And if you're, she takes great care of these people, but very, very simple. Don't be late, and don't.
Exactly, because that's the discipline. Once they have discipline, then rest can
it'll build. Yeah, and it's so true. So a lot of these people have ended up actually becoming full-time. It's just I love that, and this makes a lot of sense. Did you ever read that book, Freakonomics?
No.
Freakonomics. In that book, they talk about, and I'm not sure if this is true, but the book put forward this great point. By the way, it's Bernie's birthday tomorrow, and Saturday in the States, so it's Friday here in Sydney, so it's like 48 hours from now. But anyway, they make this great point, and I'm not sure if this is true, but it feels like if it is true, then there's something that we should really pay attention to, which is that like something like 80% or 90% of all like drug dealers and all that don't make more doing this illicit thing than the average McDonald's store manager, right? And you're risking considerably more for your life and your family's life and everything by selling drugs, and all that just to earn what amounts to nothing. Like only you hear about like the Pablo Escobars and all that, and that might sound, I mean, I don't think it is, but I don't know. There might be some universe in which that kind of wealth sounds glamorous, but that's not you. That's not 99% of these drug dealers. They're just going to get a prison rap. They're going to have a terrible life, and it's all for what amounts to no money at all, right? And so if you could find these young people first and sort of give them a skill before they ended up doing these other things, it just...
And reoffending rates are quite high. So people, when the young people, they come out, it's high chances that reoffending can happen within the next 3 to 6 months. But if they get into the good side of the career progression, and they get a good support, then they break that cycle very quickly and everything. So it's very important that as soon as they come out, they get into the some sort of ambitious target for themselves to make a living and gain their confidence back again and everything. So then you can break the cycle of going back into the prison.
Right. In Australia, do they have okay, what you're doing is you're giving these people a temporary internship like role, but you still pay them a little bit, of course, right?
Of course, So we're not just to clarify to the audience here that we are not a company which just doing all this work for commercial living. It's sort of like a give back program we have, and we help indigenous communities out in the communities to train them on basics of internets and Office 65. We train people with disability how to use screen readers, and hearing impaired people so they can become a podcaster. We also train people on wheelchair to be a drone pilot, so they can be a surveying or work in mining, oil and gas, to do a emergency offload or unload of items. We train seniors how to be a cybersecurity CALD community, which means cultural linguistics diverse community. When they come to Australia, they don't have English as a first language, and if they're refugee from different countries, they need to use online services, everything, whether it's education, retail, government services. So all these people, these programs we run, they are not commercial. They are just our give back programs.
In addition to all the work you do for actual consulting and
so the actual job or business is completely different. It's we work in mining, government, we work in private sector, we work in aged care, not-for-profit sector, and we have designed solutions using Azure platform and Microsoft Stack to create some solution for them. So that's commercial arm. But all this work we do, it's purely give back and not to, and because of this digital inclusion program we run and digital literacy training we run, naturally we find people who are good at technology and who wants to pursue that as a career. So we try and create a employment pathway for them.
Yeah.
Also, we have people, more than half of them have come from non-tech background. So we got people who are from hospitality background, lawyers, artists, and they haven't done any sort of tech related degrees or education, but they're highly creative and they have transferable skill.
One second. Yeah. Just to put a point on that before we move on, because I don't want to forget. Illuminate Solutions, if you want somebody to do SharePoint or BizTalk or Office
Business
365 or
CRM, ERP,
CRM, Dynamics, that's the organization to go to, right?
Yeah.
And then
one of us, there are plenty of partners like us out there. So
well, if I'm ever in need, I know who I'm
good
calling.
One, you can say.
Yeah. Okay. So anyway, back to the thing. I just want to make Illuminate Solutions. I'm a big fan. Go on.
Yeah. So the idea is that we do all this. This is pure give back program, and allow different various background people to come and enjoy the tech has to offer, which is tech can change so much for people. I personally was a school dropout for 5 years. I could not pass year 10, and I was not good in schools. But then I learned HTML, JavaScripting, Java applets in 1999, and Photoshop 5.5, and Dreamweaver, front page, all this early technology before the dot-com bubble burst in 2002 and everything. So I had a good run in terms of making websites, going into dot-com boom, had a car myself, has a laptop, Nokia 9500 phone. So I was successful, but I didn't have the education, formal education. So I went back to the school, I finished my year 10, and then I went to Cambridge to do my year 11 and 12. Then I did my honors in University of West London. But from UK, I was offshoring and I was getting things done. So I paid for my education, traveled 54 countries around the world because I used to work for airline, KLM, Royal Dutch Airline at Heathrow Airport in London. So bit of a tech. And then I moved to Australia, as you know. But getting into the tech and learning a little bit about internet programming, website designing changed my life, and it opened up so many potential and opportunity for me.
And you say you were, would you say that you had some help learning? Like I'm sure you did a lot of it yourself. There's Drive.
No, there was this computer shop in Mumbai, in where this is where I come from, Western India, Mumbai, and this small computer shop used to install Windows 95 and sell desktop computers with printer and scanners and everything. And they gave me this job to just assemble and help another engineer. And my job was to put motherboards and floppy drive and all kind of RAMs and everything, CPU together, and install all the hard, softwares, plus the they need some sort of Tele 5.4, which was accounting software, or Adobe software basics you can install, all the graphics cards and everything. And then you deliver and you lift it up and you deliver at people's offices and home and everything. So it was a hard job. But at the night time, I used to sit with another engineer, and he used to teach me how to use keyboard and internets, and how to do email, and how to use Hotmail and Yahoo Messengers and everything.
Wow.
And then slowly I learned a bit of an HTML, how to create a web page. And there were a few tutorials. Internet.com was big at that time.
Right.
And they had amazing tutorials and JavaScript tutorials and everything.
Yeah.
So I used to find Java applets and change the parameters and do things. And then I learned how to use front page, which was like Word. And you can create a web page and you can upload it through FTP. So those were early days in 98, 99 and everything. And then I thought, I'm I think interested more on the software development, web development side rather than the hardware assembly and everything. And hence I got into business development, started to work there, and managed to get some projects, designed more than 300 websites at that time for manufacturers and exporters.
Yeah.
Had a good money, but unless you have a formal education, you don't have respect in the society in terms of if you don't have a school and college or degree or something. So my auntie kept forcing me, says you are a clever boy, you're making good money, but you need a formal education. So she kept forcing me, and I went back to school. And this time around, I had access to internet, so I can actually search some of the things, and I can create assignments, and I can learn from YouTube also, maybe a little bit, videos and everything. So it was a good time, and I managed to get finish my education. Not only I did my school, but I did my honors, did my masters, and I became a lecturer at a university in Australia, teaching challenges in information management systems. And master level students, I was a lecturer, and I still do a lot of guest lecturing at many universities here. So life changed, and so I know the power of technology, that if you give somebody a chance to learn a little bit about using computers and tech and softwares, they can make a good living. They can get out there and contribute. They can help others and make a positive difference out there. You don't need to necessarily have a degree and school or something. Just somebody to kind of guide you or help you a little bit. You can get started.
Lifting other people up. Now you were able to do that because obviously you speak fluent English and you have all of your fingers and you have mobility and all that. But you told me the other day about, and you talked about just recently, like, well, first of all, what if English is not your first language? And second of all, what if you don't have good connectivity? And then third of all, you talked about the indigenous peoples. Is that the same, by the way? Forgive me, I'm kind of stupid. Is when you say indigenous here, is that the same as Aboriginal, or is Aboriginal is Aboriginal just a
native nation? Yeah. So native people. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a different community here. Then it's they're not exactly, obviously they're not the same as what we would call native peoples in the United States. It's the people that were here before us, obviously, but very different in challenges and cultures and all that stuff, right? So what is it like integrating with those people? Like, how do you make it easy for them to come in and learn these skills? And
I think there's no difference between any other people or indigenous community. They all have the same desire, and Maslow's hierarchy needs is the same. They all want sense of belonging. They want a good life. They want to build a good career. They want to have a basic safety taken care, food, clothing, and shelters, and living. So we try and open that opportunity. I think in Australia we have a lot of programs for youth, indigenous youth, Aboriginal youth in remote communities, but there is not enough programs designed for mid-age or older age. And if you are 40 years old person and wants to work and do something, and if you don't know Word, PowerPoint, Outlook, Teams, it becomes harder to work in office environment and everything. So we launched the programs to help all age group and not just indigenous young people. And all you have to do is just culturally appropriate. The trust has to be built up in a respectful environment. And then if you know how to conduct certain training and program in a more culturally appropriate setting, then you can get along well and do the job. I think it's more talking rather than enforcing what you should teach. Our approach is to learn from them and find out what they do in their daily lives, in the job, and what is it they want to learn, what technology might come handy for them, what tools might come handy for them. And more you can have conversations with them, the more you realize that, okay, this is, so I think the training is not like this is what we want to teach you. It's like, what is it that might help you in your and try and assist them, because everybody has a different need. One person came to us and says, hey, I play lottery online and I want to know how to find a winning lotto number on internet. I said, sorry, we can't help you with that. Somebody says, I'm doing a course at PhD and I want to learn how to do research and how to drive certain data collections and everything. And somebody says, I just help do Excel and finance side and everything, and I want to learn a bit of formulas and some numbers and crunching and everything. And somebody says, I'm happy to just learn PowerPoint because that's what I need to create some reports and presentations for others and everything. So everybody has different need, and you ask them the question and you personalize the training according to what their needs are and everything. And then you don't rush it. Let them learn in their own pace, and you support them and let them explore and everything. It's mainly confidence building. If somebody is next to you and you're driving, then it becomes easier. And I think building that habit of exploring, don't worry if you click here, do this, build a confidence. And before you know, they actually starts to explore, that starts to learn, and then they starts to drive 100 miles an hour.
So you are talking about what people working in cooperation with other people can do to better accommodate these inclusion goals. But how can government be a partner for this? Like you mentioned something, I think you told me a story about Perth in particular.
Yeah, so we in Western Australia, it took me 7 years to advocate and meet 3 different ministers, and all the ministers kept changing ICT innovation portfolio, and it took a long time, but we continued every year doing a conference and events about the same topic, which was digital inclusion and not leaving anybody behind. Finally, after 7 years of advocacy and every year conference and events around it, the government launched the WA, Western Australia's first digital inclusion blueprint, which passed by the parliament. It was launched at our office in 2022. And this was the first of its kind where every government department, when they take any services online, they had to keep in mind the communities which could be left behind. Going completely online is not always the solution. So there is an accessibility issue, affordability issue, connectivity issue, skill issue, confidence issue. So there's many things can happen, and there are millions of people who are living in digital poor society.
What is digital poor? Does that mean just lackluster access?
Lack of connectivity, access, affordability, and skills. And then we
because not everybody has the newest iPhone. It's just facts, right?
So simple example. A lot of indigenous artists in remote communities, they rely on art as a way to make a living, and they are artists, and they create amazing art, and they sell it, and they build their life around it and everything. And government has a grant program, which if you are emerging artist in remote areas, you can apply for this $20,000, $10,000 grant, and you can get started as being an artist, whatever. But that was manual through an offices in remote areas, which was like a library system kind of thing. But then they went completely online for that grant program, although they have millions of dollars to give away to the remote communities. But then they made it completely online. Now, first of all, they're assuming that they would have access to the computer and they will have access to internet. And second, we are assuming that they would know how to apply grants online and submit all the paperwork and PDFs and evidence and whatever. And the platform itself is, even for you and I, is not the easiest to use online, even if we were digitally literate, right? So then the grants started to come down, and nobody's applying, and money sitting in there. And they discovered that actually, because we went completely online, there is no uptake for this.
They're trying to streamline the process and make it more efficient, and in so doing, they actually hurt the people that would most have benefited from this. Oh, that's so sad.
So completely going online is not always a solution. There is a ticketegg.com in Australia, which is a Ticketegg, which is ticket at, I think.
Oh, ticket at. Okay.
Yeah, and it's a platform to book shows, like if you want to go to the comedy show or a theater or something.
Okay.
And if you are a person with a wheelchair and you need somebody to come with you, a company which is called Companion, and you need a special chair to park your wheelchair and watch the show and everything, you can't just go online and book a ticket like you and I do. And we can just, within less than 5 minutes, we can use Apple Pay and we have a ticket ready to use, right?
Yeah.
But for them, there's a special phone line which you have to call. And when you call, it's 1 hour, 52 minutes wait, which I personally did for my friend who was on wheelchair. And second time I call, it was 1 hour, 20 minutes. Third time I call was 52 minutes. They didn't answer. There is a special email address which you can email to book the ticket.
2 hours to wait to see a 1 hour and a half movie,
That's not the end of it.
No.
So we email them, and 3 days later we got a PDF back that fill this out. And now they're assuming that person with a disability can have access to the internet and phone calls and to make and follow through. But then they have skills to edit the PDF and write down your credit card details. And they want you to scan your Companion card, which is a special card to prove that you are a wheelchair user. Scan that, send it that. And then they will process all that and send the ticket back. Now, the show is in 2 weeks' time. You don't know whether you know, and you have to arrange a special taxi for your wheelchair to go in there and arrangement and everything. And you can't plan anything unless the ticket is there and everything. So for you and I, within 5 minutes, we can make a plan for them to get the ticket. So
maybe 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Maybe.
So being completely online for them, and the way they create the entire process is a nightmare to book a ticket for anybody in wheelchair.
That sounds like a nightmare for you and me who have full use of our fingers and hands and all that.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine. It must be insurmountable.
Yeah.
I saw this special recently on Christopher Reeves. You know him? He was the actor who played Superman in the 70s and 80s, and he became paralyzed, right? And so they had this documentary that just came out called Super/Man, right? Like he's a man who is super. And one of the things that they talked about in this documentary was just moving him from anywhere to anywhere, like from one location to another, was a huge ordeal that most people can't even imagine having to undertake. I mean, the special kinds of vans, that all that kind of stuff, and obviously, most people don't have life-saving equipment that they need to move around with all the time. A lot of people are in wheelchairs, but they're still able to breathe or whatever. But yeah, it's just, I mean, the gradient from the imposition of getting an Uber for you and me versus what it is for them, it's just so different.
We talk so much about disability as an inclusion or challenges, but there is actually a lot of elders who didn't grow up with a lot of these online activities to healthcare or retail or any services online.
Yeah.
And it's possible that one of the spouse died, and that spouse who died was the most digitally literate, and the other one is left behind, who now had to learn how to do online billing or online appointment booking, and you are left alone, and you are completely not trained to do that. So then there are a lot of seniors who struggle with, and everything is going online, like literally anything you can imagine, right? In this hotel we are living in here, in Hilton, which is where we are doing this podcast from, I checked in and they wanted me to download the app as a key card to
get to the door,
and the lift and everything, and you don't need that plastic looking key card.
It's wood, which I like.
Wood now.
It's wood here in Australia. Good idea, not plastic.
But they gave me the wood one, which I requested.
Right.
But when I get into the room to get in online, they wanted me to sign up, and to sign up I need a phone number, email address, and address, and then I can use the free Wi-Fi. And then there is a QR code in the room everywhere for your menu, for your how to use the phone. Laundry services, any information you require, it's all on QR code. Now you're assuming the guest who is here could come in here and has a mobile phone, has a smartphone, can download the app, knows how to make use of all that.
You're right. I'm looking at the menu over there. It's QR codes. There's
there's a QR. Your in-room guide.
Two QR codes. Good luck. Wow.
So the entire hotel is going digital.
Wow.
But then in Australia, we have 21% seniors, which is close to 4.7 million people don't have smartphones. They might have a small old phone maybe, or may not have phone at all.
It's a landline. Maybe.
Yeah, landline. And then there is so many people here who low socioeconomic background as well. And just in general, people may not want to use the phone, but it's completely forced down. If you want to live in this hotel, you have to go smartphone and online, and everything is digital.
Wait, what was the percentage again? Of Australia?
So
that don't have access to phones?
4.7 million.
Out of 20 million people?
Yeah, 20. We are close to 30 million now.
Okay, but still, 1/6.
But that's the senior we're talking about. Yeah, that's the seniors we're talking about.
That's a lot of people to leave behind. That's a huge. If you could just get all of them in your product, you win. That's a huge market that's just completely untapped because people don't even think about it.
Close to 2.7 million who are digitally excluded from disability background, people with disability. Then there is a 47,000 ex-prisoner who could be come out of the prison after let's say 5 years, and they just completely don't know what's the world has changed because everything is so changing fast. Everything is online and everything.
Oh my gosh!
There's huge numbers of people. When we start paying attention, that not everybody is like us who has access to all the greatest and latest devices and technology and understanding everything and all. And that gap is only increasing.
I wonder if
the digital divide is only increasing.
Yeah, because I mean, people are living longer, and we're aging up, and we're making more and more people old, which is it's what you want. But the last thing you want to do is to get old only to find yourself disconnected from the world.
Everything is going online, and that's the challenge. And now AI adoption has only made everything automations, and but it's in the hands of the power of few, not on everybody. And then that's the country we're talking is the first world country here. But there's a other side of it, which many societies out there, other countries have the same problem. Oh yeah,
it's only going to get worse in places with even less affluence and prosperity. Oh my goodness.
Indeed.
Wow. That's is the keynote being recorded? I imagine it's going to be recorded.
Yeah, the keynote got recorded in Brisbane.
Okay.
So that's on YOW conference out there on the same topic. And
go find it when it's available. Is it available? It's probably available.
Possibly in a week time. Yeah.
Sure?
Yeah.
Well, so we're recording this on the 13th of December, 2024. So you go find it. It'll just make your jaw drop. It's such a good sweep of all these different topics, and as always, masterfully delivered by you, my friend. Thank you for that, and thank you for this. This is I don't know if people are watching, and it looks like they are. Then I'm sure they're getting that same sense of like, what a shame, what a travesty that we haven't done better to account for these people, these excluded people. And it's just it's not even about it's. I mean, sure, we should do it just because of decency, but also just the money. There's dollars and cents there. Just all these people are would-be customers. Can you imagine excluding a sixth of your population just because you haven't thought about it? They could be customers, happy customers.
Yeah, but also the corporation can see them as a niche customer and do wrong as well. So one of the examples I want to leave you with is Telstra, which is a telecom in Australia.
Yeah,
they are the biggest telecommunication network. They sell mobile phones and towers and networks and internets and data center.
They have signs all over the city. Saying
so they are the main network in Australia, Telstra.
Yeah.
One of the things they did is they started selling 24 months plans and 34 months plans on mobiles and iPads and everything to indigenous communities, remote areas, without their knowledge what they are signing up for. And they started getting into the financial debt.
Oh no!
They didn't know that what they are signing it for, and giving away all their credit cards and other informations, and if they, which they knew that they will default because they didn't have the income statements, others and everything, they will get into the financial debt and everything. And they signed up so many people like that through 6 different stores in remote communities and everything, and just kept giving away all these plans and everything. And the people didn't have access to these devices before, but they were just getting it. And it ended up that they put them under financial debt and they register them as a defaulters. So they cannot get any other services, financial services, because one Telstra company has put them into the debt. So Australian Consumer Council investigated this issue, and they fined $50 million to Telstra for putting these people under different plans without the knowledge and understanding and everything and all.
Wow.
So sometimes corporation can go out there looking for this marginalized community who could be potential customer and can abuse that market and sell something wrong as well.
Oh dear.
So you have to go there for niche community or marginalized community with the right intentions and doing the right thing.
Yeah, that's what I meant. I'm not saying you should abuse them. I'm saying just if it would just seem silly to exclude so many people that could be happy. They want to be a part of the conversation. They want to be a part of your technology. They want to be a part of whatever. You just have to cater to them a little bit better, a lot better.
Like. So go for the right reason.
Of course.
There are people out there who needs help from tech perspective, but we don't want to go out there to see how big is the market, how much money we can make out of them. The intention has to be right when you're working with a low socioeconomic background or marginalized communities. It's you can make money, and we do make money, but with the right reason.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. I'm just saying, decency first, but also if you're not compelled by decency, just think more customers. It's a good. Wow.
Yeah.
I just feel really grateful for you. Thank you for this.
Thank you, Josh.
Thanks for listening, everybody. Have a wonderful day. Bye.